And we're live. All right. Storm Chasers, welcome back to the show on this beautiful Sunday. I have Dr. Linda Salvin here with us to discuss Mercury retrogrades. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Those feelings that you feel are very real. Everyone's angry, they're moody, old issues are coming back up, things are coming back around. And
Yep.
so I brought an expert to talk about it. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Storm. It's always good to be here with you. You look adorable. Your shows are funny, and I love just listening to some of your controversial topics. Man, you push that envelope just enough for people to come back for more and more and more. And you do such a great job. So I'm honored to be here. Yeah, it's Mercury retrograde. It happens about every 3.5 months. It's not new. It's been here since the start of time. Why? Because the planet Mercury, which represents communication, appears to go, well, it takes about 3.5 months to orbit the sun. Okay.
Mm,
So that's Mercury, which is shorter than Earth, which takes 365 days to go around the sun, which is why
okay.
we have a year. Okay.
Yes.
Mercury's smaller and closer to the sun, so it's less of an orbit, like Venus, right? So when Mercury represents communication, what happens in a retrograde? The planet appears, even in a telescope, to be reversing its orbit, like going in the counterclockwise. When this happens, travel is worse, communication is out the roof. Um, Appliances will break. I just was telling you before we went on the air, I just had my refrigerator freezer break, and I'm getting a new one on Wednesday. But what I went through to get the new one turned out to be a blessing in disguise, as far as how all the pieces fell into place. Even though I was really angry because my landlord won't pay for it as part of the contract, and then I didn't expect to have that expense this month because I'm traveling again, and but it hits. It just hits when you never want to spend what you don't want. But I need
Yes.
it. I need it. So I got what I needed. I didn't have to spend $4,000 on a double door or whatever. I live by myself, and I just got what I needed. But I actually got a rebate, and then I proved something to the big box company, what I found online, which wasn't in their computer, and I got it for this less price. So I worked the system, and I actually benefited from it. So that was reviewing the data, that was recognizing the problem, it was reevaluating one more time my place in it, and I was able to relinquish total control. So it's all the RE words. So I'm giving this example that go on in a retrograde. You can reconcile, you can be relieved, you can release, you're going to remember, you're going to,
Oh, yes.
yeah. During retrogrades, our memories come back out of the past. I mean, you could go back 20, 30, 40. Well, you're not that old. Well, people like me can go back 55, 60 years and remember something. People like you after the last 30 years. But it's normal that all of a sudden tears and, oh, what if, or where is he, or where is she, or where is what if I had done this instead of that? The reflection comes in, but it's magnified. It's
So let me
magnified.
ask you this: when we are in a retrograde, I've always been told to avoid going into
Contracts.
surgery, contracts, major decisions. So can you
Yes.
speak on that?
I'll explain that perfectly, because what happens is it's going to fall out, or there's going to be a rebate, or there's going to be a repercussion. Most of the time, it's on a real estate purchase, a
Okay.
large purchase like a car. For all I know, they're going to deliver the wrong refrigerator on Wednesday, because I want the one with the freezer, even though it said no freezer. But then I saw online it is the freezer. So we're playing with it. We don't know if I'm really going to get the one with the freezer, but I know I will eventually, because I was told don't sign and accept the unit if it's not right. So I have to review and recognize, and then I might have to release it when the guys come to deliver, or I'm cool. So you become more agitated, not you, we, the whole world. There's not
Yeah.
one person immune from this. The two signs that are most affected by it are Gemini and Virgo. Why? Because Mercury is a big ruler of those two, especially
Ah.
Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, but so is, sorry, Virgo has a lot of Mercury influence. So they're going to be even more sensitive if you've had your birthday, if you have an event, if you have a paper due in school, if you have a report for your boss or whatever. There's going to be problems. Maybe the fax machine didn't work, or the phone lines are down, or there's a flood all of a sudden. Anything, God knows, look what we're living through. I mean, anything. But most of what happens is it ricochets. That's not RE, it's RI, but it's still backwards and it bounces. So it's like you're calling somebody and you can't get through, and there's delays or technical difficulties, or you're blowing a tire on the curb, or you ordered something, it didn't get delivered on time. There's always delays. Flights, especially airplanes. It's become known that the industry since COVID, their flight schedules have been a little off anyway, but it's magnified even more so during the retrograde. I don't fly during a retrograde.
Right. I can understand why. But okay, so what about this? Because we hear about the retrograde, but then there's a period after that.
It's called the shadow. That's the shadow. That's correct. You've learned. So the retrograde began September 1st, 2nd, 3rd, somewhere like that, or the 9th. The 9th this time, and it's going to end on October 1st. But back up. There's a 7 to 10 day window called the pre-shadow, meaning it's just starting, and then it goes retrograde. Then we're in it for 3.5 weeks, going bonkers and crazy and wanting to throw things at the wall and hanging up on people and yelling and screaming and then feeling guilty and ashamed and all the emotions, right? Because we're human, and it gets to be explosive like a volcano or a geyser, and then it calms down. So on October 1st, I don't know the exact time. I'm not an astrologer, but I've been doing this long enough. I understand most of it. On October 1st, we will have already finalized this retrograde. Okay. But we have a fallout or a cooling down period from, say, the 1st through the 8th, 9th, or 10th. So I'm traveling the 14th. So on the other side of all this, I'll get on a plane again. I flew in August, but I'm not flying September, right? I'm not going to get in that mess. I have enough of a mess being a plane crash survivor anyway to get on a plane. I don't need the extra, right?
Yeah, you've been through a lot. You know what's funny? Well, I kind of have to get on a plane because I'm going to a wedding. But would you recommend getting married during the retrograde?
No. There's going to be more issues and more problems. It's like people meet online and they swipe right, and oh my God, it's the man or woman of their dreams for 3 weeks. Because it'll usually fall out during the retrograde. If the event, like this wedding, was planned long before without knowledge of a retrograde, because most people, I shouldn't say most, a lot of people have no idea what it means, and they don't follow the astrological suggestions. Okay. My dad, for example, he just retired about a year ago at the age of 92, but in real estate, he's still going. He would do hard money loans, and people would come for loans. And he told me that one of his clients said, "Nope, I can't sign this. My wife won't let me because it's Mercury retrograde." My dad said, "I can't promise you this right then. My daughter believes in stuff like this, but I don't." So my dad would continue to do the loans. He doesn't believe in it. He didn't have problems. I mean, maybe the printer clogged up, or maybe somebody didn't sign on within 24 hours, but he always pushed through and got it. With me, I kind of shy away, waiting for it to pass, go through it the best I can, because I'm more sensitive. With him, he knows that people don't like it. He doesn't care. A lot of people have that attitude. The world doesn't stop. The government doesn't stop. Oh, okay, folks, we're on a 3.5 week break because it's a retrograde. No war, no signing of bills. You're not going to be getting bills in the mail because they might get lost, or your computer's going to crash if you're getting paperless. It doesn't work that way.
But maybe it would be a better world, or let's scale it. Maybe it would be a better country if we would take breaks. Astrologically, we needed to, maybe.
Yeah, well, maybe you should run for office in the next 10 years and make it happen.
I can't. My name is too muddled out here in these streets.
but so are all the other politicians. Oops. But anyway, but the retrograde does hit every 3 months. I looked it up. The next one starts in December. My birthday is January 12th. So I thought, oh, great, because we're going to be in a retrograde during that time. My birthday will be in a retrograde this next year in 2023, which could be good times, bad times, difficult times, and it doesn't matter because I'm still going to be another year older, and I can't control the planets. Now, just so people listening understand a little bit more about astrology, since we're on the planetary discussion, Mercury represents communication. Like we say, what's your sun sign? So you're a Taurus, I'm a Capricorn. That's the sign we were born under. And at this moment where they asked for the time of birth and the location, like I was born here in LA, and you were born where? In Arizona, North Carolina? Where were you born?
No, in Illinois. Yeah.
In Illinois. Okay. So you take that information of time of birth, location, and of course the date. So I'm January 12th, and I was born at 1:28 p.m. It was a Tuesday afternoon. As soon as I was born, there was an earthquake here in LA. So my mom said, I came in and there was an earthquake. But the time represents the ascendant, which is the part we don't really understand, but that's our outward personality, how the world sees us, versus our characterization of the sun sign. Capricorn, I'm very down to earth. I can be quiet. I can be introverted, intelligent, blah, 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 blah. But the Gemini, which is my ascendant, is chatty and gets me in trouble and doesn't stay focused and has the ADD. Then they have the moon. So it's all charted by time of birth and location. Then the moon, which we know as the moon, represents our needs, our desires, our passions. Like you love good food and fashion and clothing and women and travel, and you won't live in a you have to have nice things around you. You've got
Yes, I don't like living in a dump. No.
No. That's Taurus. That's Taurus. Taurus wants material things, but is very grounded. Okay. Yeah. Then you come into the Venus. Well, what is the Venus? Wherever the Venus is in your chart, it's going to represent your love life. So my Venus is in Capricorn. I know I have your chart somewhere. I got to look it up because it was a few years ago. But if I'm involved with somebody, that person either needs to be water or earth. Since my Venus is love and it's earth, I'm not going to get in as much compatibility with a fire sign or an air sign in their Venus because I'll clash with my needs for love. Then we go to the Mercury, which is communication, right? Then you go to the Mars, which is the sexuality, which is the presence. Mine's in Scorpio, which is the strongest of all. So I can walk in a room and people start staring. I go, okay, they can tell I gained weight or whatever my brain says, but it's actually the presence and the sexuality that I emanate. And I know I do, but it's just who I am. But if I were to get with some guy that's got either let's say an Aquarius with in his Mars, there is no chemistry. We might be chatty and talky, but sexually it doesn't work. So that's why when I start talking to people about their relationships, oh, well, he's a Leo and I'm a Gemini. Well, that's really good, but that's going to help you. And we need to know more. How do you feel about this? Well, I really don't like sleeping with him because it's, well, you're not compatible. Or you're trying to make this relationship work because you don't want to be alone. But there's so many elements of bringing the whole together because we could be.
But to be fair, Dr. Linda, maybe you can just imagine you're with someone else and just push your way through it.
I think guys we're good at that. We can fantasize for the moment, but I know people that stick in the relationship till one day they just go, I can't do it anymore. Right?
I can't do it anymore. Yeah. Sure.
No, you want that connection. When the true soulmate's there, all the pistons per se are firing like a car. It makes it all work as opposed to touchy, feely. It's kind of work. Yeah, it's boring. No, it's stimulating. I'm not attracted to her physically, but I really like her in bed. I hear this from guys all the time. I said, but you're not in love, so you're leading her on. And she's falling for you. Oh, no, she's not. Oh, yes, she is. And I have these discussions with my male clients, and then they cop to it. Yeah, you're right. And then all of a sudden, well, they think they met somebody, and then we start talking. Oh, my God, now do you see the difference where you were 6 months ago? Oh, my God, yeah, this one's really great. And the same with the girls. It's like, I just talked to one over during the week, and she had some bad luck, and she admitted, and she wrote me a really wonderful letter thanking me because, as you know, I'll shoot from the hip. I can't do fairy tale, new agey, flowery readings. I just say it like it comes through, and it's not always pretty because I'm blonde. I can't help it. I channel that way. It just comes out, but it's all in good intentions to help. But the retrograde is nasty, 3-4 times a year. For
Ooh.
people interested in the calendar, you can just Google Mercury retrograde. It's all out there. And all the dates are listed and the time frames and even the descriptions of what to look for in your personality, other people, how to back off, how to respond. It's all out there. I didn't make it up. I had to learn too. But it's a strong topic and everybody freaks out, and they're right. And you have to freak out because it's powerful.
It's very powerful. And I just, I'm opening up to it. I didn't believe in it for the longest time, but now I'm like, maybe there's something to it. Okay. Okay. Let's be fair. I'm going to be honest.
No, lie. Don't be fair. Don't be honest. Tell me a lie.
No, but seriously, and maybe this is a trait of a Taurus. I don't like stupid people. And so I tend to hear people talk about astrology and they have no clue what they're talking about.
They don't. They think,
oh my God, I love pink lipstick because I'm a Capricorn. No, you just like pink lipstick. Like, oh, I'm a Libra. I'm a bitch. I can't help it. No, you're just a bitch. Like, it's fine. So,
most people, you're right, Storm. Most people don't really know it. It's very mathematical. It's very scientific, and it's a lot of work to really understand the wheels and the houses. It's too much for me. I'm not an astrologer. It's way too mathematical for me to think about and to do the wheels and print the charts. Although I do have somebody that prints charts and they're probably 98% accurate, my friend Fred. So if anybody wants a chart, we can get them, or I'll ask him again because he just had surgery to get yours out of the computer. I did mention to him because he's got it somewhere, but we'll do it again. And
it's like my Mars is in Aries. What in the hell does that mean?
That means, I'll tell you what it means, because Aries is fire. Okay. Now, so for example, this would be great for your friends and followers who want to know if you and I are ever involved. It would never work sexually with us, and I'll tell you why. It's a perfect example. If you have Aries in Mars and I have Scorpio in Mars, fire and water clash. Fire makes water boil. Water puts fire out. It either simmers or smolders. I would be best if my guy had a water sign like Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, or Earth, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo in his Mars.
Yes.
So I'm more compatible sexually, but I want it also to be in the love compartment. So he's got to be water, Earth there, because my Venus is also Earth and my Mercury is Earth. I've got a lot of Earth. But when I look at my whole chart, I've got 4 Earths, 3 waters, 3 fires, and 3 airs. So I can balance and get along with a lot of people. But my intimacies, that's what the chart will show you. So your most compatible women should have, I should say. Because guys are a little different. But when you're really getting into it, I would suggest that woman have either a fire sign to be compatible sexually, which would be Leo, another Aries, or your Sagittarius, or you go to the air, which is your opposite, which is your Aquarius, your Gemini, and your Libra. Then you're going to be amazingly compatible, stimulated, excited, and all that. The other times when you're not with somebody, like you're really hot and you think they're really attractive and you get between the sheets and it's like, ugh, what am I doing here, right? It's flatlining because the rest of it doesn't match astrologically, biochemically, even though the eye candy says, oh my God, I got to be with this one.
But it's got to be, because like me personally, I want to explore sexually. So if you're closed off, and I'm going to need a lot of sex, like anybody that comes here, I'm going to need a lot of sex. It's just what it is. And so if
you're very passionate, but that's Aries. Yeah. Aries runs, it's the ram, it's hot. It's full of fire. It's aggressive. It needs attention, which is why the Aries sun, people are always rushing and hurrying and get it done, and they're vibrant, and you can almost see like their heads down like a ram. They're going to ram those ram antlers, horns into the wall because they force ahead. So you've got that powerful sexual drive. Let's go. But if you're with the person that kind of puts that fire out, you can still be on fire, Storm, but it won't be the blaze you're looking for.
Because Because I'm like, let's go to a swingers club and have an orgy. Like those are the kinds of things I like. But if she's not into that, what do you do?
Well, then you just keep going to the orgy and you find the ones that you're compatible with anyway and say, sorry, girl, I need to get the sticks over here.
Do I go with my natal chart? I need to see.
Yeah, here now I have to approve you on my app before we go out. Or you go to, even if you're swinging, let's take, like, you've got 100 women in the club or the house or the party, wherever, and you may be attracted, but then all of a sudden something really catches your eye and it's really fabulous. And others aren't. You can't be sexual and communicative and loving with everybody. You can be kind and you can be just as nasty to somebody you don't like, because your spirit's going to attack the people that you feel horrible around, or their energy. Or I was just talking to one of the doctors I work with about this, because he removes negative vibes or entities off of me as I remove from him, from his practice. And we know how to do it. And we both had past near-death experiences. So we're on that frequency and we can see who's pulling our energy. So you want to be balanced, but you can't be with everybody. And yet when the negativity is sent out, or like a curse, or like I can walk into someone's apartment and I feel like daggers and knives and razor blades. It just doesn't feel right. Sometimes, I was downtown LA yesterday and we went through one of the neighborhoods. It was like a cesspool. I couldn't wait to get through these blocks, but I hadn't been there in a while with my friend, and we went, and it was just, okay, let's get away from there. And then I felt grimy. I could feel the negative of where I just was. Then we went to this beautiful hotel and got some iced coffee and some dessert and just talked, and it was gorgeous. And the energy was beautiful and the people sitting there were just lovely. So it's wherever you are and whatever you pick up, but being more aware of your own sides and signs within you, your planets. You'll be even more confident and selective as to where you go. So even if you're around 100 people at a swingers party, you're still using that inner compass as to what you're drawn to. I mean, you can,
because with me, and I'm taking the time to learn myself. I feel like I've learned so much about myself in the last 3 years. It's crazy. I'm like, damn, I didn't know.
That's because you met me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Hell.
But what I notice is okay, the main sign is a Taurus, right?
Right.
And the moon sign is actually, for me, is a Cancer, and then the Mars is in Aries or whatever, and it goes on and on. And one of them is a Pisces or whatever. Anyway, I just say all that to say what I'm learning is, yes, I am very sexually driven. But as far as who I want to be around, I'm very
selective.
Very selective. I either really like you almost to obsession, or I don't at all.
That's almost like what I'm saying in different words. And next time I'm on the show, I will look for your chart so we can analyze it and say, okay, the Cancer moon makes you very passionate, nostalgic, super romantic, definitely dependable, almost gushy romance comes out of this guy that we don't get to see, but there's this real soft spot. But the communication, or the business side of you, and the obsessive side of you, or the detail-oriented side of you, that's all the Cancer in your moon. Okay. My moon's Taurus, so that's air. I mean, that's water and earth, which is compatible. So your sun sign is compatible to my sun sign, because you're Taurus, I'm Capricorn, we're both earth. You got water in the moon, I got earth in the moon, which is compatible. Now, if your Aries was your moon against me, we'd be clashing a lot more, because what does fire do to the earth?
It burns it.
It scorches, it burns, it warms, it nurtures. But if a fire sign gets angry or says the wrong thing to an earth sign, man, that earth sign, me, I have experienced devastation. I grew up with two parents that were both fire signs and one sister's fire sign, and they don't get it. They just run right over, and it's like, wow, I got to take a break because it's intense. Not that they do it deliberately. It's the personality, but it's also the sun sign. I dated a guy who was an Aquarian, and we had a lot of fun talking music or career, but the rest of it, there was nothing there. It just didn't work. So as you learn to plug in the pieces, you'll become more conscious of what really works. So in your life down the road, your person's going to be either an earth sign or a water sign. Then we'll find out what's going on with the Mercury, Venus, and we already know about your Mars. So hopefully her Mars will be either fire or water. I think it's going to be another fire where we'll just have earthquakes in Georgia. But
hopefully I'm out of Georgia. And speaking of that,
wherever you're going to be, we'll know about it.
I had a reading, and I'm interested in what you think. It was funny because a guy I'm going to bring on the show too. He read me. He's like, "Oh, I see you going towards the west." But then I think me and you had discussed. You see me staying on the east or just near water. I think that's what it was.
I said water.
Just water. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you could come back out here, but if he sees the West, the thing about readings, and I have to qualify this. I mean, I've talked to thousands of readers in 30 years because we all share with each other, or I can become just as obsessed and call the lines, and I have my friends and who I trust and when it happens. But nobody's 100%. And things change because we have free will. What may have been seen in 2020 didn't happen, but it's changing, or it's changed course, or another opportunity or another person. That's normal. And then there's those things that still go on because it's not done yet. Like there's one person in my life, I think he was predicted I think the first time was like 1979, then again in the late 80s, and then in the 90s, and he popped up in the 2000s. But long time visual clairvoyance can see decades. Oh. I don't see decades. I can tell if the relationship's going to last. I can tell what the emotions are. I'm more metaphysical than just clairvoyant, but I'm both. But as a metaphysician, I help people understand their emotions involved, what their desires are, how it works, what the spiritual outcome would be, or like telling this girl, like, no, he's a deadbeat boyfriend and he's not interested in the kid, and no, the guy you're with, you're not really in love. So let's get you moving. You're only 30. It's time to grow and move beyond the fear and turn it into faith. And people at their age, they're 29, 30, they think they're at the end of their life. I'm like, you have no clue what's ahead of you.
Exactly.
I said, no, you got your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. You keep going. No, I'm 29. I got to have a kid. I said, you don't want a kid during your Saturn return. That's another one. There's that 2-year block in a Saturn return between 28 and 30. Then again, at 54 to 56, we go through it. So there's all different planetary poles and changes that we go through. But a psychic may say, oh, you're moving to the West Coast, but you end up going to Boston. Okay. Well, you said this. Well, okay, but you chose that, or the opportunity changed. I'm not God. You still have free will. Ultimately, even if you end up in Boston and I said no, San Francisco, somehow whatever the ultimate goal is supposed to be will still happen. You may not meet the same person socially or love-wise, but career things will start to happen. And then a lot of the times, if somebody say this person goes to Boston, or you go to Boston, I'm just throwing it out as a sample, and 2-3 years go by, and all of a sudden you realize, you're just not happy. So you end up in California. So it doesn't mean he or I were right or wrong. We're both right, but you had to feel it and figure out what's best for you. All we can do, or what I do, is serve as a flashlight on the road of life, and you can trip over the boulder if you want to, or bypass it and get a little softer path going without as much trouble.
But he proves you right. He confirmed it. Not that I doubted you, but he.
No, I want you to. No, I think it's great to get a second, a third, or fourth opinion.
Especially, well, I won't say the person's name. I would just say a certain person is absolutely in love with me. Like,
is it one of them that I've discussed with you?
Yeah, we've discussed them before. Yes. And they're like deeply in love, but it can never come out. If it comes out, it's going to be highly chaotic. It's going to be a whole thing. But just to know, like, basically what he told me is, you flirt with people without realizing it. And I'm not trying to. And I guess my energy draws people in, and I'm not trying to. I'm not
No,
trying.
that's just you being you. But that's why the show's successful. That's why you're good on the air. That's also your Mars and Aries, because Aries very flirtatious, and Aries men love to be the center of attention, just like a Scorpio man. But Aries is talkative, and Scorpio is more watching. And then you got the Leos that they have to rule the kingdom. They want all the women and men to praise them because they're the lion on top of the heap of the jungle and the kingdom. And then you got the mousy, but the quieter lovers would be the Aquarians or the Geminis. But the Geminis are going to jump out and be chatty, 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 flirt, flirt, flirt. But when it gets time to really get serious, they withdraw. Okay, and then the Aquarians can be very chatty. They're everybody's best friend and flirtatious, but you can't get inside them. They will not open up. That's air. You got to really pry open the candle, let the air out. Okay. The Geminis are the hardest because they actually are two personalities. They're so black and white and hot and cold. You don't know if you're coming and going. I mean, they can really be crazy making, almost like bipolar, but they're not. They're just two people. That's the Gemini twins. You get the Libra. The beauty about Libra is the balance, and they're kind of low key. Unless you really make them angry and you really piss them off, then they're going to fly off the handle. You get a Sagittarian man or woman on the wrong side of the street or the bed, you're going to be nailed for weeks, because the anger and the wording and the viciousness or the silent treatment, it's tough. Sag is tough. They're very strong. But that whip comes out, just like the stinger on the scorpion. That if you're on the wrong side of that scorpion, female or male, that stinger stings. The Cancerian, think of a crab, because it is the crab on the chart. So what does a crab do? It walks towards the water, it backs up. It goes to the left, it goes to the right, and then it makes a decision for its prey or to get in the water. So Cancer is kind of indecisive. So if you're with somebody who's a quick thinker, which is your Aries and your Mars, and your Taurus, which is so diagnostic and down to earth and steadfast and opinionated, and then you got this Cancer trying to be indecisive, you're like, well, I haven't committed yet, or I might be procrastinating, or let me figure it out. It'll take a Cancer 3 times.
I don't have the patience for that, though. I don't have the patience.
But a Cancer takes 3 times longer to make the decision that you and I can come up with in a day, because they have to really go back and forth. And then you've got the Pisces. Oh God, Piscean men are like little boys that need to be mothered constantly. And the Piscean women are both. The men and women are super nostalgic. They will cry at a Hallmark commercial. They want everything for birthdays and Christmas to be in the big bow. Everything's passion and romance, but there's a lot of fantasy with the Pisces. Okay, but that's water. That's water. And then you got, we've really covered most of the sign. Virgo. Virgo is earth. Virgo is very stubborn. Virgo's very passionate. But Virgo can be so, you want to talk obsession, they will alphabetize their CDs or their albums or their books or whatever needs to be in order. Everything's alphabetized or numerologically in order. Everything's so anal and organized, not like what you'd find in my house. I just put it here and put it there, and then I go looking for it and I can't find it. So maybe they have a better idea because it's organized. But Virgo's very methodical. So everybody's different, but we're all the same. But no two people are alike, not even twins.
Very true.
They share the genes, they share birthdays, but they're born a few seconds or a few minutes apart, and their charts are totally different. Their personalities, their desires, they have a lot in common, but then they're still individual. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
It's all about learning yourself and knowing yourself. I think people should even get charts on their kids so they understand how to properly parent them.
I have done that with people in the past when I used to do my show, and I would have a birthday or a natal chart done and offer it to the people that were pregnant. And then by the time the child was born, I'd have it run that day or within a week. So as the child grew up, they can watch the map of what to expect. A lot of people have done that. Speaking of genes, you and I have this genetically coded nutritional product.
Hold on, let me back it up. So there we go.
Yeah. I didn't get dressed up today for the cause. It's Sunday.
Oh, you're fine.
Anyway.
I didn't either. You're fine.
Astrologically, all of us have genes. Astrologically, all of our bodies have different body parts that are more sensitive than others. Like me as a Capricorn, it's always the knees and the joints. Okay. The Taurians, what is it? Your arms and your fingers that are more sensitive than other parts. But Storm and I have been promoting for over a year now this wonderful DNA nutritional product that you can get through Storm's website at well, he'll give it to you at the end of the show, or you can just email him and he'll help you. We've been signing up a lot of people. We want to keep signing up more and more because after 3 to 6 months, the inflammation's gone from your skin, or you're sleeping better, or you're losing weight, or your thyroid is healing, or your blood pressure is down, or your cardiovascular rate is different in your heartbeat, or you might have, I don't know, urinary issues, or you might, like everybody's constipated. So we also have the gut health.
Yes.
So we've been promoting the gut health. And I've got the chocolate, but it comes in acai and citrus, and you just mix it up. So I put the two together in the morning. I make like a little cocktail and take a couple of the pills that come along for the probiotics. But people, Storm, look at his body. Look at how much he's changed in a year. And since he got into this product, it helped him motivate to take the next step. Because not only do you sign up for the product by swabbing your cheeks and getting a chart on 18 genes that you inherited from both your mother and father, but you get 26 to 150 pages of reporting every gene in your body, what nutritional product, whether it's EDC, folic acid, blueberry, pineapple, whatever they've got in here for your formula, is going to change your body over time.
You know what I learned about? You know what I learned about myself?
What?
I'm not gonna wrinkle.
No, you're not. That was in your skin report, right?
Yes, I'm not gonna wrinkle. Now my skin has issues with naturally detoxing itself, so acne is an issue, but wrinkles are not. So I guess it's one issue for another. But
well, we all have different things. So the sebaceous glands, which is where your acne comes from, that's probably going to be cleared or detoxed the longer you're on this, because in the last year you have not had a skin eruption. Unless you're wearing a lot of makeup, but I don't think you are.
No, nothing too major. No.
You have not had a breakout. We talked about this once before. So yeah, I know about the wrinkles, but I'm almost 70. So you got a ways to go. But they do show up a little bit. You might get crow's feet, but you're not going to have that skin that looks lizardly. You're not. That's in your chart because of the genes that you inherited from your mother and father. The beauty, especially for your listeners, is if they're in childbearing age and they have yet to meet the guy or girl that they want to have kids with, or even if they become a single mom, you take this product for 3 years. The negative genes will heal, so you cannot pass it on to your offspring. It helps heal the body. We're 15 years ahead of the medical curve in that way with genetics and dietary nutrition. There's nothing like it on the planet. You're nothing but a barcode and your name. Nobody at the company knows what it's made of for you. It's very HIPAA compliant. But please go to Storm's wall or channel and sign up and have him help you come on board, because I think the more people we get with the product, I think we should bring them on and let them tell their own results of how much they're feeling better.
Absolutely. I think that would be dope. Let's have a little random chat now, if you don't mind. Let's just talk. So I've been thinking, right? This retrograde has me like, whenever I think it's not a good thing. I've been thinking, right?
It's called stinking thinking.
Yeah, stinking thinking. So what if I get my PhD? What if I don't know, in anything, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because I think I literally just want to be called Dr. Storm. I think I want to be able to be like, I feel like that's so cool to be able to say.
Storm, you're 25 years younger than when I got mine. I got my PhD at 54.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. I got my bachelor's at 21 in 1975. I got my master's in epidemiology, public health from the University of Michigan in 1977. And then 4 years after grad school, I was in the plane crash, became psychic, near-death experiences, and that whole all the 80s were wacko. And then in the 90s, I opened up psychically as I knew, but I got into radio. And it was through the radio career starting in 1994 that I started thinking, I really think I should become a PhD in something and really boost it. Besides Linda Salvin Radio Psychic, which was my title back before the internet.
Yes.
And I found different courses in integrative health, metaphysics, heology, not just Reiki and all that, but I mean, there are PhD programs that would probably be perfect for you that would combine the spiritual with academic, which is because you love this stuff. And I can tell you where some of those schools would be, and you can do them online. And
I would appreciate that because especially like with my personal rebrand,
I think it'd be great. Dr. Storm.
Yes. And I see the books I'm going to write later, the lectures, the conferences. And I'm like, just like, I don't know if you've heard of the
authority.
His name is Eric Jones or Eric something. Anyway, he said literally, I got my PhD. So when I go into certain rooms,
it gives you clout. Yeah, that's what I did. I wanted most of my friends, while I was out becoming a psychic and surviving near-death experiences, my friends from college went on and got PhDs, MDs, dental, whatever, law degrees. They kept going. And with me, I was floundering in the 80s, like, what the hell has happened? I don't understand. Why am I psychic? Nothing makes sense. I couldn't think about concentrating. I blew the best marriage proposal of my dreams during that time. I couldn't function. I couldn't focus because of all the PTSD and becoming psychic and getting used to this new gift or whatever. But as it calmed down, and then I got into radio, and then I started the candle line, I thought, now's the time that I should go further and get that PhD. And there was a company, a school called the American Institute of Holistic Theology, and it was run by Ivy League people. They were all from like Princeton and Harvard and Yale. They were a bunch of academics that put these programs together. They're not there now, but there's plenty of programs out there.
Thank you for. They're being encouraging in the chat. Oh, thank you,
Dr. Storm. Dr. Storm.
I love the way that's. But you know what, Dr. Linda, it's okay. I feel like there's two sides to me. Like, I'll come in a room, I have a PhD, but then I take my shirt off, I'm tatted up. But it's like I'm smart, but I love tattoos, but I love urban things, but I love books. Like
But that's you. That's me. This human being that genetically is made up with your look, your personality, your faults, your greatness. This is this human being. Who says you can't have a PhD with tattoos? Where is it written?
It's written nowhere. You're right.
So if you want, tomorrow, I can go through some of the programs that I think you would love. Maybe take 2 or 3 years. It may not be that long. It depends how long you dedicate. But the work, there's a lot of work. I found the PhD program a lot more difficult than my master's, and that was hard. It's not easy. You're not. There are places online that you pay your fee and get your degree, but you don't want that. You want to know that you're authentic. And I am involved with the American. What am I? I'm board certified with the American Alternative Medical Association and the Drugless Practitioners. There's organizations out there that will take your transcripts and your degrees and either approve you or not. There's real stuff out there to authenticate what you want to do next, because you've already got an MBA.
I do.
See, a lot of people don't realize that this tatted funny man is so intelligent. You know how hard it is to get an MBA and study all that stuff? You got to really understand marketing and tax law and all sorts of
things. Mind you, I was working a full-time job while I did it.
But now you've got your job, your money's always coming in, and you can take an hour or two and say, okay, I'm going to go do this now. It's like I'm finishing up my book. It'll be published next year, finally. Okay, finally, because it's ready. I'm ready. But I've done a lot in 35 years to get here.
Yeah.
You've done a lot. And if you get your degree, say by 2026, 2025, and then you just keep doing the show, and then one day, you just come on as Dr. Stormy, not just a celebrity doctor, but you'll be really the celebrity doctor.
I mean, to have PhD after my name. Wow, that would just
Yeah, you
be.
see it. So you're envisioning it. I
Yeah.
don't see you doing psychology. I don't think
No.
that's the right way to go. I don't think it's going to be theology because you're not going to go super the other way, but there's something in the middle. You may even want to do more holistic alternative. Um, you might want to do integrative medicine to add to the spiritual versus the entertainment. It's all there.
Yeah.
Look, Dr. Laura, um, who was on FM radio for years and years and years, who's been on Sirius now forever. Dr. Laura Schlesinger, has a PhD in English,
Oh,
but she became the world's biggest radio psychologist.
interesting.
So
Huh.
it's not really the topic. You could go get a law degree and not practice law, but it's a JD, it's a doctor of jurisdiction.
We have a person like that on YouTube right now, the lead attorney.
Well, I'm
He's
just saying,
retired,
it's all
though.
there. We will find, I'll help you find what it is. I don't know that you need to go to Harvard or Columbia or, Texas A&M. You could probably find a really great online program, work at your pace, and get it done.
I agree. I
Doc.
agree.
Doc and Doc. Then we can start a new show, The Docs.
Oh my god. I can literally see it. I can see
Well,
it.
then it's something that your soul and you want from a past life as well as this life, that you do all these things. You're multi-gifted, multi-talented like me. I've got irons and a lot of fires. But I think what you want to do is get to the top of something academically that says, I did this. So bachelor's,
Yes.
master's, PhD, which is what I did, bachelor's, master's, PhD. And I never wanted to even go to college, but I ended up academic. So I'm a doctor and I work with doctors and I work with chiropractors and I work with a few psychiatrists and I've worked with healers and I work with psychics and I work with everyday people and lawyers and a couple of people in Washington during the other administration. It's people. And it doesn't matter if they got tattoos. People discount you sometimes, Storm, because they have an image of what you're supposed to be as opposed to when they find out who you really are, of your intelligence and your classiness and your fun. I mean, you go way to the left or way to the right, but you're healthy, you're human, and you're fun, you're smart, you've got a strong intuition. And a lot of people, I think, resent the fact that you're educated.
I think they do. A lot of people have said that I've they basically accused me of being classist. That's the word, or elitist. And I'm like, I'm a person from that.
Are they jealous they didn't go to school or that they dropped out? Look, my dad dropped out of USC. He played football for USC back in the 40s. And my grandparents wanted him to be a doctor. He did not want to be a doctor like the uncles. There were 3 uncles that were doctors, and he didn't want to be a doctor. He wanted to be an international marketing guy. He loved international sales. So he dropped out. The year they were going to the Rose Bowl, and he was on the team, he dropped out. He joined the Merchant Marines, and somewhere on a boat in the ocean somewhere, he knew he was going to retire by 57. When I was 18, I could barely think of 19, let alone where was I going to be in my 50s. But he planned his life, and he met the goals, and he had an international company that, like our computers. Steve Jobs, when he was creating Apple back in the 70s, was a customer of my father's company. So my dad got out of his work in the 80s when the home computers were starting to come about. So he was like one step ahead of the curve of our generation or my generation. And he said to me one time, Linda, the way of the future is computers. I'm like, okay, whatever. Now we've got the phones, we've got the desktop, we've got the radio stations, we've got
Everything.
YouTube, what are we going to do if we don't have a computer or a phone or something digital, the TV, and we've got Fire Stick or whatever. Everything is dependent on computers, our cars, elevators, escalators, markets now. You go to Whole Foods, you just put your hand on it and you're digitally marked and you're going through the aisles. Everything is digital. So you've got to find out your niche, which you've created by starting with a little station or whatever you did with tape back in the day until you grew to where you are.
Yep.
And you're just ready for more. You're ready for more. Like I knew back then, I was ready for more. You're all a part of it. I support you 100%. I think it'd be great.
I think so too. And I remember you telling me this is your reading also coming back to life. You said, you're gonna make a change, you're gonna go a different direction. It doesn't mean I walk away from the show, but it just means it's growth. And I think all of the destruction, well, attempted destruction that I went through, I think it's actually helped to push me in the right direction. So
well, you're also seeing what you've learned in the last few years since I've known you with a lot of what we say in Jewish, the mishigas, the bullshit, and a lot of the attacks and jealousy. And it's part of the game being out there. You get attacked. But yeah. I think it's made you stronger. I think the candles have helped diffuse a lot of it. Yes. The wicks of wisdom.
Yes.
I think your mental abilities to see above, because you were willing. When you first found me doing the research on the Kardashians and the candles and Ada reading, and people know this story, but you were willing. So when you come to people like me, you got to be at least halfway open-minded to hear truth, and don't fight because I'm only saying or channeling what's going to happen or who you are now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever. There is change. And now, I don't know that we've ever talked about academics further for you, but if it's starting to evolve and you're thinking about it, you're maturing and you're seeing what more you can do. And I know what you want to do online, and I know what you want to do with speaking. And yes, it would give you that one more clout to have the letters. Yeah. It has for me, it's opened a lot of doors. It has. And then there's other parts where I look at it on the wall and go, really? Was it worth it? Should I have done it? Do I really care? Because after a while, it's just, okay, now what?
Right. Yeah.
It's the next challenge. But then after 8-10 years, hey, doc, yeah, sometimes I forget, yeah. But I did it. And those 3.5 years was very difficult getting all that paperwork done and all the reports done. And it was hard. It's a lot of work. Theology, metaphysics is a study of theology and psychology combined. So it was a lot of Jung combined with Buddhism and Catholicism and Christianity. And I'm a Jew and I didn't want to read about Christ. I mean, I really fought with the school until they found where my niche was, okay? Because some of it was uncomfortable. I had to do it anyway to understand. Then I realized, okay, back it up. It's just another opinion of somebody's idea.
Yes.
Then with me, I'm not into religion anyway. So it's all another person's idea of the way things should be. I just come out spiritual. It just is like butterflies. It just, I don't get into the dogma of it all.
And you know what's funny? You want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
I love Roseanne.
Yeah.
Love her. Hilarious. She texted me one day. She said, "I'll teach you the Torah if you want."
Well, that's funny. And you might get a lot of insight from her. I'm sure it'd be really hysterical. But yeah, the Torah, I've never read the Torah and I was not bat mitzvahed, but there's a lot of Jewish mysticism and wisdom that comes out of it that when I do pick up, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And there's parts of me that have wanted to go study. I just don't. I don't go back because I could probably fall into it. There's a lot of great wisdom, and she's right, but I don't have that knowledge. You might want that knowledge. I wanted to be bat mitzvahed. My dad didn't believe in it, so he gave me a sweet 16.
Oh, wow.
My dad's agnostic. And here I am talking God all the time. I'm the opposite. I'm taking a trip to Detroit and Cleveland next month. My great-grandfather was a famous rabbi. So I'm going to Cleveland to look up the history of the family and take a little trip to maybe his grave and see where my mom grew up and all that, because I always heard about it. But maybe I inherited part of his spiritual side as to why I love I love the party parts. I love the beautiful part of religion. I love the God part. I love talking about God in a very positive manner, not a punishing God, but that, you see the beauty of people, places, and things, and let go of ego, which is edging God out, and just let things be. Let things be the best you can. We're all arguing. We all have our moments. We all pick on each other. It's just what happens. But I think also what's going on with the one world order and what might be happening out there is they're trying to pull us apart. And our job is just keep going and stay grounded and let all that stuff out there happen, because we're going to survive it.
We do, and we'll always survive it. is there any truth to the one world order using fear mongering like
Yeah.
it's energy for their
I
rituals?
think so. I
Yeah,
think so. I think so. I don't want to get into an elaborate discussion here because I don't want to be censored on your show, and I don't want I know what the rules are, and
yeah,
I'm not sure enough as to how far I can discuss things. So I believe overall that there's some type of fear-based thing going on, but that's true of the military. They did it in World War II. It's not new. And a lot of the struggles or the fear or a lot of the when they would really tantalize people and make people. I'm just afraid to open my mouth here,
but I get what you're saying
but
though.
I believe that there's a lot of subliminal things going on in movies, TV, music, not just with politics, but I think it's sad how humanity almost hates each other. That's what
Mm,
it boils down to. Like I believe World War III. I've been saying this for 2 years. I mean, first we got Russia with Ukraine. We got China about ready to go into Taiwan. There's going to be World War III. We've been at the verge of it for the longest time, and we're going to probably see it another year or so. It's just going to crack, unfortunately, and I think we're going to get hit here on the states too. I do. I'm not sure. I hope we don't. I hope I'm wrong. I normally don't predict world events. I have seen things and I've shut it down. But, like torturing prisoners and using fear with the prisoners or fear and torture during World War II. Like my mom's parents were from Poland. My grandmother's 11 brothers and sisters and parents were killed in the camps.
mm.
I know what I come from. Unfortunately, in today's world, they're censoring a lot of World War II to say it didn't happen. It did happen. I know the depression I grew up with my family being so sad. And in those days, nobody even really talked about post-war events. People like Steven Spielberg has done miraculous movies like with Schindler's List, proving what went on, and all the different films and books that have been written in the last 70 years to justify what happened. But now they're trying to say it didn't happen, or they're rewriting books overseas, or they're trying to take out chapters here. They don't even want what in Texas. You can't even read the diary of Anne Frank, and she wrote her diary while she was a captive, being hidden during the war. They're trying to rewrite
History.
history with a
Yes.
brainwashing, but it's also fear. So to answer your question, there's so many different variables and coming from so many different arteries. I don't know who's behind it, why, and some people say, "Oh, it's the Book of Revelations." Well, I've never read the Bible that much. Some people say it's the One World Order. Some people say when the One World Order really deals with what the 15, 17 families that ruled the world, and then they've got a plan. But it's been in process since the 1600s. Now you got the Queen who's dead. Or are they going to continue the monarchy? They're going to shift into modern times. We don't know what's going on. It's all part of this whole planetary change. But we'll still live our lives. We're
Because
still,
we can. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot to talk about and it all comes together. But on a spiritual level, I think if we just try to be honorable and humble, and we can still be egotistical and go have fun and go to your swingers parties and do whatever you want, but you're not hurting anybody, Storm. You're
I'm,
not.
I'm not. And I'm not malicious
No, you're
in what
not. That's the Cancer. The intensity is the Mars with the Aries, but then you get this down to earth, cute little puppy face, which is the Taurus. But I mean, if you get angry, I know that anger side too. You're normal. I mean, we all have rage. We all have ugly words. We've all got the yin yang. But it's just like the world. And you're right. If we could manage the whole world more astrologically and balanced and say, hey, this is going to be a rough period. Let's kind of lay back and let it
Yeah.
pass. We probably get along a lot better. But
I think so. I think so. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. This was a good discussion today. This was fun.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about the retrograde. Remember, it ends on October 1st of
Yes.
2022 because this will be out there. And you're really not supposed to date topics on the air. I understand that, but this is a topical moment. So the people that are frustrated or aren't getting any tail, or he's not calling back and she didn't respond, or the plane was late, or the refrigerator broke, or the computer's not working, or the phone isn't connecting to the Wi-Fi, whatever is going on, car accidents, they're going to be heightened during this period. Just kind of watch it, and it's going to happen anyway. And then other people who were born in a retrograde, that's different. Because if you were born during the retrograde, most of the time during the retrograde, when the average person like you and me are freaking out, they're fine. They're not affected because they were born in the retrograde. So their energy is more in alignment during the retrograde than not. It's all wacky. Yeah. Didn't know that, huh?
I did not know that. I did not know that.
So another thing, the wife you end up with, please find out that she was not born during a retrograde, because then you'll be in one world during the retrograde, she'll be in another, and it'll clash. We can do charts.
You still think I'm getting married, Dr. Linda? You're so convinced I'm going to get married.
Not yet.
We'll see. We'll see. You know, doing what I do, everyone thinks that they're going to be the one. So.
Oh, well, I have a lot of your people that say they are the one. They come to me. Is he single? Well, I just talked to him yesterday. He's doing fine, but I don't think you're his girlfriend. No, I've had to calm it down a few times. We've talked about that. There's a few of your listeners that I adore and I love working with them, but they're convinced that you're it. And I have to lightly tell them, no.
No. It's so funny. Spring Peace said, maybe, no. So funny, though. So funny. Someone said their chart is ruled heavily by Capricorn.
That's like me. I got 4 planets in Capricorn. It's stubborn, it's grounded, it's intelligent, it's attractive, but we're very loyal. You know, I can analyze the chart. It depends where the planets are, what the 4 are. I mean, there's Jupiter, there's Uranus, there's the Venus, Mars, Mercury. I got to see the chart to understand where it is. And if they got the chart done, hopefully they got the explanation there, because getting a chart and just the wheel means nothing without the definitions.
Gotcha. Tell the people where they can find you, Dr. Linda, because you have a YouTube channel of your own.
Oh, yes. And you've been helping me, and you came on the other day. So now I finally got back on the air, and my YouTube is Dr. Linda Salvin here on YouTube. And then lindasalvin.com is the website. The beauty about what I've done is a little different than just YouTube, guys. I spent the last 3 years building a new radio station for myself. And what that means is I'm streaming my old radio shows from the 1990s and some of the 2000s, and they stream 24 hours a day. Plus, when I'm going live now, we're live on the air at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So you can go to lindasalvin.com and hear it live, and see me on Facebook and YouTube. So you can visual or audio, and then it's all going to be uploaded as podcast to my own system. So nice. lindasalvin.com. Yeah, it was a big project, but we did it.
She did it. And she's back. And, you know, like I was telling you, Dr. Linda, it can kind of start off slow, but over time, people will pour in. And
I hope so, because it is slow. And I'm used to radio being like in the moment right now, like 150 people. Here it is. And what's different is the chat, because I'm used to having the phones in radio. Yes. I was AM FM, right? Long before the internet, even though this is a wonderful new program and platform, I'm still getting used to reading the chats. I was channeling someone's dog the other day on the radio. I mean, on the show, and he typed in, I was right. And he called me yesterday. He said, oh my God, you got my dog perfectly. And what about my grandmother? I mean, I'm able to tap in and keep it going, but it's a lot of work, and a lot of people don't understand that.
Yes, very true. Even emotionally on you.
It's draining. It's draining. But it's fun. But yeah, lindasalvin.com and Dr. Linda Salvin on YouTube.
Let me ask you this. So, before you go, you read animals. So, like, do pets have souls?
Oh, of course.
What?
What? Oh my God, we got so many dogs and cats and turtles and fish and birds. Oh, of course. Everything alive has a soul. A plant has a soul. I just saw somebody take a little baby microphone. I forget the name of the equipment, but they put it in a mushroom field. And you could hear the tones of the mushrooms singing. There's a whole underground lifestyle of mushrooms that go beneath the ground that we don't see. Same with the trees and the roots. Mushrooms have their own melodies. As far as an animal, like, Penny was put down in March, and I had that dog for 14 years. But you could just look in her eyes, and she'd look at me, and I'd look at her, and you could feel it, just like if I'm with the right guy and that chemistry is there. You feel that love. There are souls in dogs and cats and birds. I had a lovebird that I had for 7 years that I got just before my mom died. And that's a whole nother story as to synchronicity and the spiritual need, and how this bird ended up on my attorney's wall. And he and his wife gave me this bird, named it Rainbow. And when I saw my mom the day before she died, I said, I got a new bird. She goes, what's its name? I said, Rainbow. She goes, Rainbow? I said, yeah, why? She said, well, that's the code name for the alarm system on the house.
Oh, wow.
And she died the next day. But that bird came into John and his wife's home. I inherited the bird. I had that bird 7 years till he died, but I could hear him in the morning, and he was a lovebird. So, birds have the eyes on the side. So, he'd walk in and he's got his head turned and there's that eye. And I'd say good morning and he'd start chirping, or I would hear them singing because I got him a her, Sunshine. And they are different personalities, just like you put two cats together or two dogs together. Every single living thing has its own personality. Some dogs are vicious because they're so scared or they've been abused, and others just snuggle and love you and lick you. And cats, birds, fish, they know we're there. How many times you're on Facebook and you see somebody post like a dolphin playing with the boat, or a seal jumps on the boat? Because they feel and sense. We as humans abuse the cattle before they're slaughtered, which kills me even though I eat meat, or the pigs, or
Yes.
the fish. I mean, everything that's living, we're eating. Somebody once said if we stop killing the animals, there'd be no war on the planet, because it's imbalancing the whole ecoculture of life. So if we were to not kill the animals, would there be less war because of all the agitation and fear and anxiety and disgust? And you've seen behind the scenes footage of what they do. I can't watch it anymore.
I can't either.
I saw a thing on Facebook the other day of a pregnant dog and how she was hurt, and she had been a breeding dog and somebody rescued her and her nipples were hanging because she had just had another litter. And then there was another one about the horse crying because of its colt being taken away. Animals feel. Animals, when they're yelling or moaning or mooing or hyening or whatever the horses do, that's their communication that they are hurting. They're talking to us. So yes, there's a real horse whisperer. Yes, I can communicate with the animals that have crossed over. I get their colors, I get their fur, I get their eyes, I get their ears. And all of a sudden I go say, oh, it's gray and white and it's this. And, oh yeah, it was a gray and white cat. How'd you know? Well, I'm a psychic. Why'd you ask? If you don't want to know, don't ask. Everything has feelings. Dogs, cats, horses, cows, bunny rabbits, everything, lizards, everything. Wow. We all have souls. We all have a soul. We all have an emotional state. We have a way of thinking where we communicate. Everything else communicates in its own way. If only we would listen how to talk to the flowers and talk to the trees and talk to the mushrooms, talk to the horses, instead of all the abuse.
Well, murder magic tricks. There's a humane way to kill animals if you have to.
You have to kill the animals. Of course, God put the animals on earth for us to eat and have nutrition and have protein. I'm not negating that. But there are some slaughterhouses
that are cruel. They're just cruel.
Yeah. It's too upsetting to even talk about. There just has to be a better way to do what's done, even though I understand time is of the essence, and the chicken farms and the pig farms and the cattle ranches. I understand all of that. It's all business, but still there's a human factor somewhere in there without hurting. The animals feel. How many times you've seen a cow jump off a truck on its way to slaughter because it knows it's going to be killed?
They can feel it.
They
Yep.
know.
They know.
I'm
They can
too
feel it.
sensitive. I'm too sensitive. I feel all that stuff, but I can't fix it. I never will. I don't have that kind of power. I can't go around the world and say don't do that to the cows or the chickens. Or but I need my eggs. But there's different ways of making the chickens produce their eggs, and it goes on and on and on. But without it, where are we going to be? I don't know that I'm going to be straight vegetarian and just eat beans and vegetables forever. You know.
I would love to. That's the goal for me, to go more holistic. Like I tell people, one day you're gonna see me online and I'm gonna be living by a beach. I'm gonna have long hair. I'm gonna be wearing crystals and just eating fruit and mangoes and veggies. And I want a yard
Yeah,
and
for about a week. Then you'll get bored with that. You'll get bored with that.
I'll get forward that. Oh man,
Yeah, no, dogs and cats definitely have souls. And when people call me to connect with their animal that's crossed over, I get a feeling of the attitude. I get the coat color, their fur. I get a little bit of their personality. It's real stuff. Yes. Why do you think some animals lick you and just love you and others walk away? Because they sense us also. The more spiritual we are as people, how many times, like, yes, you have presence, I have presence, we walk in the room, we command attention, blah, blah. But babies, children, animals gravitate, and someone goes, oh, they don't like they don't like people. Oh, I've never seen them lick you like a person like that before.
Oh no, animals love me. Animals, children,
Because of your
babies.
spirit. It's
Yeah,
your soul. It's
yeah,
the love in your soul. They're not scared.
yeah.
They're not scared. Animals, children gravitate towards spiritual people. Flowers, plants grow better in a spiritual home than a angry environment. They sense. We're all part of the whole. What does the word alone mean? I don't want to be alone. I don't want to break up. I don't want to be alone. It's all one. All one. So when I help people say you're not really alone, you got God, but people think I'm preaching. I'm not preaching. There's a spiritual God out there with that.
Yes.
I just want people to get in part of the flow of the universe to make their life easier. Animals, I'm almost at the tail end of the grief of losing my dog. It's hard, and that's because there was a soul connection. She was a soulmate dog for
And you
me.
had her for so long.
14 years.
Yeah.
My mom was still alive. She named her Penny, and the rescue said she might have been 1 or 2 even then when I got her. So she was probably 16, 17 years old. And she had like dementia. So it was time to put her down. She couldn't think. Yeah, but I loved her. Took care of her. If I traveled, she had house sitters, dog sitters. They're beings, dogs and cats, personalities, birds, reptiles. You go to a bird store, every single bird has its own personality. You got to just learn the birds.
And apparently, a lot of people have birds for like decades. I didn't know they lived.
Well, the macaws and a lot of the Amazon type of birds will live 30, 40, 50 years, and then you can put them on your wrist and walk around. I had one called a Myers parrot back in the 90s. It's a Myers parrot, and I remember going to the bird store here in the valley 92, 93, and there was this baby bird. It was 6 weeks old, and I fell in love with it. And I said, I have to have this bird. I didn't know what it was with this bird, but I had to have the bird. So I got this bird when he was able to leave the store. He was about 8 weeks old, and I named him Joey. And Joey would talk to me. I'd say, hey, Joey, and he'd go, eat, meat, meat. And he would respond. Well, one time I was doing a reading, and Joey used to walk into the bathroom and climb up the toilet, and there was a little basket sitting there. And after my reading, I said, Joey, and he'd usually go, eat me. And so I didn't know where he was. Well, this time he'd fallen in the toilet.
Oh.
And he died. But he was smiling. He drowned, but he had a big smile on his face. And I buried him in someone's backyard. But I only had him 3 or 4 months when that happened. But I took him everywhere. I put him on my shoulder. I go down to Malibu. I go to the stores, wherever. And he was friendly. He didn't fly away. But I didn't have them long enough. Then I had the lovebirds. I've had parakeets. I just don't want any more. It's like dogs and cats. You get attached. I remember how much I cried when I put my parakeet down. It's living. It's a thing. You take care
It
of it.
happens. Yeah, you're right.
Everything has a soul. Everything. What doesn't have a soul is an inanimate object. Your microphone. I have the same mic. Okay. My headset. I doubt there's a soul in plastic.
I
Okay.
would think not. Yeah. I
But
would
in
think.
humans, things that are breathing, fish, birds, reptiles, bugs, even if I have to kill a spider, because I can't stand them because they're scary. And I apologize as I'm doing it. I said, I'm sorry, Smash. But it's a living it's a living thing. It is.
I get it. I
And
get
some
it.
of them are a little irritating, and it's like, okay, that animal eats the bugs, that destroys the plants. That I mean, everything's got its place,
Yes.
but not in my house.
You gotta go. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on, Dr. Linda. I'm going to, well, order something to eat and get ready for my next show.
Go, Dr. Storm.
Yeah, I'm liking the feel of that. We'll talk later though. We'll
Yeah, we
talk later.
will. This was great, and I'll have you back on my show. And folks, Storm's been popping in at Dr. Linda Salvin on YouTube on Thursday, so be sure to come over, subscribe, and Storm and I will be doing back and forth in the meantime. You have a great day. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, people. That was fun. I will see you guys probably in like an hour 15. And we got to talk about August Alsina versus Tory Lanez. Tyrese Gibson still tripping online. Bishop Whitemore, Moorhead. Yeah, y'all know that pastor out here acting like he Ike Turner. And much, much more. I will catch you guys later.